fan.
And I welcome you today to CSC Talk Radio. It is my honor, my privilege, and my pleasure to be here with you today. We're having a little bit of phone trouble today, so we're supposed to have Dr. Patrick Michaels on today, and we don't have him just yet, so bear with us. I also wanted to announce to you that we are live today on Loving Liberty Network. You can visit them by going to lovingliberty.net. They have a host of different guests. This is a network. It's not just a station. It's a network, and they have all kinds of guests and programming there that you might want to check out. And that is lovingliberty.net. That's lovingliberty.net, and we say howdy to everybody out there that's listening to lovingliberty.net. Today's show, we are supposed to talk about climate change, and as soon as we get Dr. Michaels on the phone, hopefully that'll happen real quick, we're going to take off and do that. I wanted to remind you about some other things. There was a lot of news that happened over the weekend that I kind of missed up on because I take a little hiatus from the news on those weekends and didn't really want to watch it. But John Kelly did resign. For whatever reason, he did resign, and they are looking to replace him. And, they're gearing up. What they're doing with the Trump administration is gearing up for the 2020 election and campaign, and so they're trying to put people in place that are all going to be working together on that. And that wasn't really John Kelly's forte, but he has done an excellent job there for the president. There is no doubt about that. I also wanted to add that, Dr. Michaels, when he was on Friday, mentioned a book, and it's called Lukewarmers. And I did a little bit of looking on that today because I got to thinking that might be because it's under the title of a textbook, and I wanted to ask him, but I got to thinking, and what I was looking up, I think it would be a great book for you to invest in. No, I'm not getting any money for it. And no, Dr. Michaels didn't ask me to sell his book. It was just something that I thought might work for you. And I know many of you who listen are homeschoolers. And I thought this might be good to add to your library for your homeschooling. And what it is it compares the climate change, the believers that are just staunch and won't argue anything, the lukewarmers, and the deniers that don't believe any of it. And basically the lukewarmers believe, yes, something is going on. No, man might have caused a little bit of it, but it's not significant. And it's really not going to be a bad thing. And so it might be something that and it is available, I think, on Amazon, and you could probably find it at your local bookstore as well, or at least have them order for you. And that is called Lukewarmers. Lukewarmers is the book that he has written. So, I want to talk about what we are going to do. I'm kind of at a loss here because I planned on having Dr. Michaels on. And this would have been part 2 of that show, and if we can't get the phones to work today, we'll get him another time. But I was asking you how the weather is where you are. It was 14 degrees here this morning. That's not the kind of global warming that I like and appreciate so very much. And I've always been under the impression that science is considered to be questionable. Not that you question the science, but science itself. The scientists question everything. They don't just take things as they are. They have to, kind of like a mechanic, he has to break it all down and put it all back together. And scientists, they don't just accept it. They have to research it, the what-fors, the wherefores, the whys. And if they didn't do that, if they didn't question things, if they didn't check into it, we wouldn't be flying today. We found out gravity, throw that rock, it falls to the ground. And why does that happen? And how can we keep it from happening? How can we keep that rock in the air? And so that is what I consider to be science. And right now what we're dealing with is the debate. And those who want you to buy into this climate change, that it's one of the biggest threats to America and to the globe, they won't debate. It's their way or the highway. You have to simply accept their data without any question. And I do believe that that's part of what the problem is. And that's part of what makes me a denier, not believe in it. Dr. Michaels has made me a believer in the fact that, yeah, there's some things that have happened. And, I have mentioned to you years ago that, of course, it might be warming up. We're not in an ice age anymore. And so when the ice age has left, things will warm up. The glaciers will slowly melt. They're pretty darn cold themselves, so it's going to take them a little while to melt. But they will eventually melt. Maybe. We'll have to ask Dr. Michaels if he thinks they're going to melt and how long that's going to take. The Earth, not to tell my age or anything, but when I was in high school, they told us it was global cooling. And with the global cooling, it was man's fault. We broke the ozone. There's a hole in the ozone, and we needed to stop using aerosol sprays, which isn't a bad thing necessarily. And I remember when they decided to quit using pretty toilet paper, too. I don't think that had anything to do with the air, but maybe it did. I'm not sure. But they quit making the toilet paper printed. No more printed toilet paper. Then they switched it up, and we're in a warming stage. You need to stop using so much fuel. Lord have mercy, those gassy cows. They're causing us all kinds of trouble with that broken ozone. Walk to work, bike to work. Walking is best for you. Of course it is. But if you happen to work 25 miles away from home, of course, that's your fault. You shouldn't do that. If I had to walk that or bike it, I'd be late. Some areas actually demand carpooling. They actually make it a demand. You have to carpool. And then they have carpooling lanes, which is okay. There's no problem with that, except sometimes I like to be alone in the car. I like to have a little me time. I guess I'm a little selfish about that. One of those deplorables from the heartland. However, and this is pun intended, what is heated up is the topic of climate change. We're told it is our biggest threat, and that this controversy doesn't seem to be cooling off anytime soon within our government and our universities and our media. They want more regulations and control over your water meters, your gas gauges, your thermostats, and your backyard barbecues, and stop burning that wood. Good grief, putting all that ash in the air. We should stop and question. But they don't want us to stop and question their findings. But real science looks for answers, not control, right? Well, that was until government decided to take it over and basically turned it into a pay-for-play type of thing. Paid analysis, paid for the climate warming findings, paid for the data to look this way, not that way. And last Friday, when Dr. Michaels was with us, he mentioned pseudoscience, a collection of beliefs or practices mistakenly regarded as being based on scientific methods. Well, we can question, we can listen to today's chicken littles like Al Gore and Tom Stiers, or we can seek out the truth in the science and the data from others and compare. Be a little scientist yourself and question it. Question it. Always question. Well, we're headed into a break. I hope we can get these phone lines figured out. And when we return, you're listening to CSC Talk Radio. This is Beth Ann, and we will be right back.